She doesn't seem like she misses us very much.
She did not. She keeps threatening to come back.
Did she email you
No,
yesterday
of
before? Oh God, I'm gonna kill her.
No.
She wants to work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Going through.
She has to contact us if
I
she wants
know.
Got to pay for Kauai somehow.
Oh my God, your company's doing well. Refrigeration for hospitals.
This is an ex-employee,
That's
talented
what he
cook.
does now.
That's what they've always done. They
Oh.
started it. They're the thermometer monitoring system
Oh
No
boy.
paper.
for the refrigeration.
Yeah.
Beep, beep, and they get the alerts. And they send,
Nice.
It's interesting.
Good morning, YouTube.
Good morning, YouTube.
Yeah.
We're lucky. Bridget's here today.
I
She's
know.
going to keep Tom on his toes.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
He's gonna-
Welcome to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo Radio. It's Tom Douglas and Bridget Charters
Hi, Tom.
sitting in for the chef and the chapeau.
I know. Boy, those are small shoes to
Small
fill.
shoes to fill, exactly. He is a small person.
A big hat to fill.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you for joining us today, for being
I'm
part of the
excited.
show. And normally, if you're a regular listener to the Hot Stove Society Radio, you think of Bridget as the most competitive person doing tasty trivia and often kicking our butts. So I'm glad you're on this side of the aisle, although I think I still have to face off with
She's
you.
still your
do.
competitor.
Oh, really?
You do.
No, I'm going to only be so
But,
nice.
You
then.
know, Annie's no slouch.
Luckily, we're going to do the trivia earlier in the show today at the end of the first hour. Is that right, Pam?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we can then be friends after that.
Okay, you got it.
All right. Pam is here. Our producer, Sean, is here. Annie's making breakfast for our guest here in the studio today. If you want to become a guest, just go to hotstovesociety.com, and the shows are printed. You have them out there, and you actually have when one of the hosts is off, in case like we're short on guests today because Terry was off, and so people didn't want to come to see me.
That's
What?
not true.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
We have people all the way from Minnesota that came to
Nice.
see you.
I heard her talking. There's no doubt. There's no
Yay.
doubt where she's from.
Minnesota.
Although it could be Fargo, North Dakota, but it's close. Terry is in Morocco on a trip. Is this one of his hosting trips that he
Yes.
does through Star 58 Travel?
It is.
Good. So I'm sure he's having a ball. He was looking so forward to it. I'm sure everything that he comes and makes when he comes back will be with Harissa.
Oh man, I'm
It
so
already
jealous.
is.
It already is, exactly.
He loves Harissa so much.
Today's show is going to incorporate many different parts of the world. Of course, Terry in Morocco. We have the Taste of Iceland, which is coming up at the Carlisle Room around town, October 6th to 9th. And I think we're trying to sell some tickets to that. It's $95 or $130 with a drink pairing. And it's all a couple of chefs from Iceland. We're going to have them on the air by Zoom. This is modern technology here.
That's great.
Peak of the season, Delicata squash is going to be here.
Perfect. My
You know how to
favorite.
handle. Is it your
Oh.
favorite?
It's one of my favorites.
I'm a butternut guy. Or I like acorn squash. Or
Do you really?
yeah, I'm
Interesting.
Delicata.
Well,
I like
you know,
I
yeah.
like it, but
No, I'll give you a recipe.
But
Then
Jackie
you'll love
grows
it.
it.
Maybe that's what he needs. Is
yeah,
learn how
I
to
need
cook
some.
it.
I need some inspiration. Bridget and I are going to dig into some old school and then more contemporary sauces. You are classically trained.
Mhm.
I, on the other hand, am not.
I appreciate that
And
though.
so we come at it from different directions. And that's how Terry and I kind of got this show together, was we were kind of battling all the time on the show because was an apprentice in France and I wasn't. And so it's just, we come at things a little bit different.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
And so you spent some time in Europe. You've taught classic cooking for a lot of years. And so let's talk about that within sauces. The New York Times last week, we continue to marvel at the New York Times food section. It is the best that I've ever seen. And so last week there was a great article on few ingredients, cooking dinner with just 7 or less, I think was the ingredient total. Simple, easy things to do. We're going to talk about that. Savory powders from pantry staples. And like I told you, we're going to play Rub with Love tasty trivia at the end of the first hour.
Well, and this to interject on this New York Times thingy, I put it on the counter by my husband's stuff because he's always
Hint, hint.
complaining that I'm not teaching him how to cook. And I'm like, oh, dear God, it's been 17 years. You can't tell me. So I put this out.
And did he
He's like, I don't have time
did he
for
use
that.
it for kindling?
No, so then I put a paperweight on it and put Spencer's name on
Oh,
it. I'm like,
okay.
all
I
right,
see.
you guys are in charge of dinner.
All right. My taste of the week. I had a delicious shashuka down this morning at
Oh.
Lola, which I
God, so
it
good.
was so good.
Yeah.
And I had it in my style, which is eliminate the eggs and add sausage.
What?
Yeah.
What?
What do you care? They're eggs or sausage. What do you
You
care?
don't like eggs? What's the problem?
I prefer sausage.
It's
Oh.
the runny egg that brings it all together.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Anyway, it was
Battle of the
delicious. But my
shashuka.
taste of the week, we had a spritz of rain on Wednesday, a little bit of cooling. The first thing I did, go to the Ballard Market, bought myself a pot roast, braised it
Ooh.
with onions, garlic, and shiitake mushrooms,
Wow.
and some stock that I had from the freezer, and just kind of let it go low and slow for 2.5 hours. Melt in your mouth, deliciousness. It just
shiitake,
felt
no herbs?
right.
No herbs?
Of course, herbs, but just those. I thought Jackie was coming home from the farm, and I was getting dinner ready for.
Oh,
But it was Wednesday,
veggies
and she
and-
wasn't coming home until Thursday.
Oh,
So when I'm home alone and I'm cooking, I eat out of the pot. I rarely plate things up for myself.
That's right. I
I
saw
cook
Jackie.
for myself.
Yeah, I saw
But
Jackie last night. It was Thursday night. She came in with those amazing beans.
The rattlesnake beans.
Oh my God. I just eat them by the handful out of the bin.
Well, is that your taste of the week, or what's your taste of the week? You have a thought on that?
Those darn potatoes she brought. I snuck a bag home.
Those are called Upstate Glorious or something like that. They're like a row 7 New York potato.
We
They're
have
really
to tell people how to
sweet.
get a hold of them. Oh my
I mean, they're not in
God.
New York. They're from the New York Seed Company, row
Correct.
7. She grew them at the farm in Prosser.
They're kind of a combination between a russet and a waxy potato.
Uh-huh.
They're not smooth like the waxy, but they've got this rough skin, which I just washed and left on, and I just cut them and I just quick simmered them.
You know what's great about the rough skin is that it actually, like orecchiette or a good dried pasta, it carries the whatever you've got in the pan on the skin then.
Right.
Yeah.
Jacob, who works here, Jacob Foy, he's Scottish, like you. I made the potatoes and I did a colcanon.
Mm-hmm.
That was my taste of the week.
Ah.
And that's all we had were those potatoes with some butter, a little bit of sour cream, green onions.
Did you mash them up?
parsley, just lightly mashed
Uh-huh.
them. It was unreal. And I even got Julie to eat a whole bowl.
Wow. I'm not sure what that means.
That's like,
But-
it's
She's
a
not a
lot
good
of
eat- she's
calories.
not a good eater.
giant
Is that why she's so
bowl.
skinny? That
Yeah.
she just doesn't eat much. Well,
She
some
needs
people
more
eat a lot when they're
Colcan and-
they're skinny, but they eat a lot.
That's my friend Angela.
Yeah.
It's
I just hate it.
disheartening.
I hate them. I eat a lot and I'm not skinny.
I know.
Hate them. Yeah. From the bottom of my heart. Like little Annie over there. Some people just have a better constitution than I do. Annie will sit there. She's what? Maybe 18 and a half pounds. And she just eats fennel all day. It's like, how can
She stuffs
It's like
herself with that so she doesn't eat the high calorie stuff.
I
Tom.
can see that, but it just doesn't occur to me.
Rather have
So
a croissant.
Annie's
I'd
gonna
rather have
build
shakshuka with sausage.
a little higher on the calorie spectrum.
All right, fine. Okay, Bridget, when we come back, you're going to teach me how to love delicata squash.
No problem.
Love it. I don't want to just like it. I wanna
Bang.
love it.
We got it.
Okay. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
I'm the audience motivator today. Usually Terry does it and he sings and claps, but my voice is horrible.
Oh,
so I'm
man.
sparing you.
How's your singing, Tom?
I've known Pam for 40 years, and her voice is horrible.
Not horrible. Oh, Tom. Don't
It's
say
not
that.
melodic.
It's
I
not
know.
melodic. I would say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes me smile whenever I hear her coming my way. She's a very nice person. But if she were coming my way and sing, I would probably go the other direction.
Funny.
So
Like
you
with those
know when they
birthday.
Talk about the farm that Tom and Jackie own, some acreage in Eastern Washington that Jackie works her butt off on in Prosser and brings vegetables over every week.
I know. We
Those
should give him a
potatoes-
few. Give him a pinch of the
have
rattlesnake
some?
beans.
That's what I served on my birthday. Those were
Ah,
her potatoes.
Those are good.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
They're called, I want to say the name, the seed company name is called Row 7. And the name of the potato was called Upstate Abundance, I believe.
What a fabulous name.
Row 7 is, yeah. And Jackie, my wife, loves doing trials. So she used to do them for Oregon State University, and just they recruit farmers all over the country, right, so that they have different temperate climates, and so she's good friends. So the guy that started Row 7 is Dan Barber, who had Blue Hill and Blue Hill Stone Barns, and so he started the seed company, and she's been on his. They send her product. She has to take pictures of it at every stage, weigh it, how often she waters it, all that kind of stuff.
And what's the name of the seed company?
Row 7.
Row 7. I want those potatoes.
Upstate Abundance.
Okay.
I'll send you the link.
We'll show them that. We'll show you guys the potatoes and the rattlesnake beans.
All right, we're back in the kitchen here at the Hot Stove Society. Thank you for joining us. We're in the beautiful Hotel Andra in downtown Seattle, the corner of 4th and Virginia, right above Lola Restaurant.
Delicious.
Second floor in the mezz. You come up, you'll see a bar at the top of the stairs. Go left. Come right back to the back here. And here we are, all of us having a good time here at the Hot Stove. You did a class last night at the Hot Stove.
I did. I'm a little knackered.
You look fabulous, though.
What country is that term from?
I don't know.
Knackered. I never heard that before.
I think it's a Kiwi. I think it's from my Kiwi sailing buddies.
Knackered.
Knackered or
Okay.
Australian, yeah.
And you did fall pasta classics, and did everyone behave?
Except your friends.
Oh yeah, did they? What did they?
No,
do?
no, they were great. They were great. Tom had a group with an auction or something.
Yeah,
right?
they bought. I gave a package to the Hawaii Junior Golf Auction that I was at before COVID 3 years ago. We're seeing that in our company now. We're starting to see all the gift cards come in and all the auction packages that we gave as a company.
Got it.
People were.
Yeah, I saw him with the Hawaii belt.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, nice.
Nice.
But
Staying
no,
at the-
they had a ball. They're staying in the hotel here.
Uh-huh.
They said it was just amazing. And I was like, well, where are you guys going back to? Couple's going to Saskatchewan?
Yeah, but they're going to their house in Arizona
Oh,
first
no
after they
problem.
got done with their house in Hawaii, and then on their trip here. So
It
and then
must
the
be
other
Canadian
couple,
oil or
the
something.
other guy's an Alaska guy. So yeah, no,
Right.
he's a restaurateur. He
Oh, no
has
kidding.
no, he has 10,000 restaurant seats in his empire. I'm not sure how many restaurants he represents, but he has 10,000 seats.
Holy
And he just opened
smokers.
two. What's the kind of Pan Asian restaurant? Peking. I don't know.
Oh, you mean like Chang? PF
Yeah, PF
Chang's
Chang's.
kind of?
Yeah, he's got the franchise rights for Canada for PF
Get
Chang's.
out.
Yeah.
Wow.
And a few others.
Very nice.
Okay,
very
so
nice people.
convince me to eat, and not just eat it. I'll eat it, no problem. I like it. I just don't love delicata squash. So convince me how to make it. That's going to turn the corner for me to crave it when it comes every fall.
Okay, you got it. No problem. Okay, so I'm making you happy because last night Annie ordered me a bunch of butternut squash, but it wasn't Jackie's honey nut. Did
No,
she grow
it
that
wasn't.
this year?
They're hardening.
Yeah, they're coming out.
When you
yeah.
pick them, you got to let them harden. And we let them harden in our barn, our garage barn.
Oh, how long do you do that?
2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, no kidding. So
Yeah.
that they don't rot
Yeah,
when they
They
ship.
travel
Got
better.
it.
Yeah.
Got it. So,
But they
yeah,
can't be on top of each other. They have to be laid
drying.
out. Yeah.
Drying so the skin firms up.
Yeah.
Right. So I was saying to the class last night, like with any squash, if you can kind of early now press your nail into the skin, they're fresh. They're from this season. They're
Uh-huh.
delicious.
You do that at the grocery. You just put your nails in all the different squashes.
Shh, don't tell any
Oh,
Tom.
boy.
They're gonna call me out at Town and Country
Yeah, they
Market.
are.
Anyway, I mean, you can kind of tell and you can see by the top. It's kind of like when you get pumpkins at Halloween. You want to look for the ones that have the darker stem. Otherwise, your pumpkin's gonna rot. So you want to get those darker stems. Anyway,
Which means they're fresher.
correct.
Yeah,
If
they
they're
haven't dried out
fresh,
yet.
Yeah. And so then when you go to carve them, they'll rot faster. But if they've got that dark, dried stem, they've hardened
I see.
off.
Okay.
So with the delicata squash, I mean, I've grown them in years past. I didn't this year, but delicata are those oval, longer, skinnier squash. And later in the season, I'll take a peeler and pull a little bit of the skin off. Now,
because it's got a ruffle all the way around, right? So
Right,
when
and
you
they're
peel
very-
it, you don't want to get into that little crevice.
correct. They're
Yeah.
just too hard to peel. And so when you get them at the store, skin and all, super delicious, very good for you, highly nutritious. And so one method, my friend Kim Smith taught me this, is you take the delicata squash, just trim the ends off, cut it in half lengthwise, pull the seeds out, and then you cut them into 3-inch lengths. So the chunk, you've cut this delicata that's 9 inches in length, cut it into 2 chunks. They've been cut in half. So you've got 6 pieces, and you're going to cut little sticks, little kind of batons, little, like Terry would say, baton. You cut little sticks that are about the size of your finger, and then you heat a saute pan, add a fair amount of olive oil, and you add sliced garlic and leaves of fresh sage out of your garden, please, and then a little bit of salt and pepper. And the minute the garlic starts to color, don't want it to get too dark, throw all the squash in, just raw like that, and just toss.
But you can't be on too high a heat, or that garlic will continue to burn.
Correct.
Yeah.
So then you throwing the squash in kind of slows the temperature down, and then just keep an eye on that garlic, and then just turn the heat down and let them simmer in that oil bath. Wow.
Yeah.
And they soften up and they get so
And this time,
delicious.
because you're early in the season, you just leave the skin on. You don't have to peel
skin
the garlic.
on. It's so
If you're eating them
delicious.
in the end of November, December, you got to peel them a little bit.
And I like them a little bit firm, but you can let them cook and cook and cook so that they get kind of mushy. And if I have leftovers, which generally we don't, but if I have leftovers the next day, I'll cook up a little rigatoni or penne and use that as my sauce. Delicious. It's so good. It's just amazing. And then the other thing we do here at the Hot Stove Society, Tom, and we use your veggie rub.
Wow.
Do we get bonus points?
Certainly.
Okay. So you cut the ends off, cut it in half again. So you've got those 2 long halves. They're all kind of roughly and beautiful. Leave the skin on, and then you lay them down on the table, cut side down, and you cut them into little 1/4-inch pieces, half moons. And then you toss them in a bowl with a little bit of olive oil and a generous portion of Tom Douglas's veggie rub, inspired from Pam. And you just toss them, get them well coated, a little bit of salt, and into a 400-degree oven, and you roast them for, 10, 12 minutes.
Yeah, they're actually done before you want to pull them out, right? You want to roast them till they're soft, but then you want to take them till they're firm again, right? Till they're dehydrated.
You want them to dehydrate and color a little bit.
And caramelize.
So that they caramelize. So don't
just like broccoli or cauliflower or anything like that.
Yeah, don't overcrowd the pan. And like when we do it for guests here in the winter months, we'll put a pan in the back for crew, and that's kind of our chef snack. Delicious.
Plenty of olive oil. It's almost like you're deep frying on a cookie sheet.
You and I were talking about the whole weight thing.
Yeah.
There it is. Lots of olive oil.
Pamela's got a delicata.
Chinese 12 spice
Uh-huh.
for that same roasting technique, because it's got that sweet and salty. So I did that for a curry last night, and prepped the delicata separately, roasted it with a Chinese 12 spice, and then into a vegetable curry with the leftover green beans, which were spectacular, and mushrooms, and zing. So
And like roast pork or something.
those veggie curry, Tom Douglas.
Oh,
I was waiting
I
for
love
that.
my vegetables. I'm just torturing Pamela.
That was a vegetarian dinner, right, Pam?
I love my vegetables.
You do.
That sounds delicious. And you guys never mentioned once kind of taking those oblong halves, right? And now that you've scooped the seeds and the kind of spaghetti squash version of it out of there, you can stuff it with anything.
Sausage.
Roast it. Yeah.
Sausage.
Roasted on a whole half like that. And
it
makes a pretty presentation at the table to cut up just like a roast. So you can make a mushroom force meat. You can make a sausage force meat. You can do all sorts of things in there that would be delicious.
Well, I saw a breakfast application where you cut the delicata and make rings. Leave the seeds, leave it all in, just cut big, thick, 1-inch thick rings and roast those. And toward the end of the cooking, crack an egg in there. Maybe Lola could do that.
Yeah. Sounds delicious, sort of.
I could
Now
put
we're
some-
going to go into this New York Times article that we were all enamored with. And Pam, I want you to lead us through that in the next segment because you are the queen of the New York Times food section. You read it more than anybody. So
Yep.
on Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show 97.3 FM.
Cool.
They're doing
Nice.
pretty good together today. At each other's throats.
Wait till trivia.
Pretty happy about that.
Are you competitive when you play golf?
Yes.
Is my game competitive or am I competitive? So with the handicap system,
Right.
my game is competitive. I personally like to win, but I don't freak if I don't.
He likes
Oh, I
to
don't
show
either.
us his rolls of cash that he wins off his buddies.
Do you do the skins?
I got reprimanded for that. I don't do that anymore.
Oh, really?
What?
Yeah.
You have to choose your audience.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. Oh, did they feel they were being taken?
No. It was. It's a long story.
Yeah,
We're not going to go
radio
into it.
material,
Yeah.
sorry,
Not gonna do
Leading you down that path.
But I do love. I love beating all my golf buddies. Yes.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, they love when they beat me too. It's
I know.
whether it's 50 cents or $50, it's harsh.
Yeah, we don't bet when we play tennis, but just like we're not losing this is the
So
thought.
what's the reward then?
Winning.
Just that's it? That's all it takes for you? I
Oh,
need to
yeah.
have some cash in my pocket.
Uh,
I got to get you a trophy for the tennis like you won us for the softball.
I know.
You need a Bridget tennis trophy.
I can bring my national trophy
Yeah,
down.
please do.
It got
Your what-
relegated
your what
to the
trophy?
basement.
Your
My
what?
National-
national
My
tennis.
national tennis for old lady trophy?
Yeah.
No, it's not the old lady. It was 40 plus.
40. Well,
Remember when your parents turned 50 and you like freaked out, like, oh my God, they're going to die next week? And then they turned 60, they're in the grave.
I remember when I was driving out of my driveway when I left home at 18, I had everything packed in my car and my parents were at the top of the driveway and I was backing out and I was looking at my dad, and my dad and I never got along that great. But I also thought when I was leaving that, I might not ever see him again. And I was because of his age, right? And he was heavy like me, and it's like he's blah, blah, blah. Turns out he was only 40 something years. I didn't realize that. He lived another 40 years.
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's hard to perceive those things.
Right. So there you have it. No, the old lady tennis is 55 plus. Like that's, dude, like 55 plus. You like
When I was swimming, I was in the Masters swimming
What?
program,
oh wow.
and at the Seattle Athletic Club.
Yeah.
I couldn't have been more than 30 years old, but I think sometimes it's age and sometimes it's how good
Fitness,
you are, right?
Fitness level, yeah.
Or
No. Well, in tennis, it's age because there's some very wily participants. So me being in 55 plus, I can also be in 40 plus, and I can also be in 18 plus.
Yeah.
So our team that went to nationals, everybody on that team.
we're back to national trophies again.
I know, but that same team won 18 plus. And 3/4 of that same team won the sectionals in 55 plus, but we didn't win sectionals to go to nationals. We had to do a second competition. They were all old ladies winning these different divisions. So there you have it. Nice. Where are the beans?
Thank you, Annie. This
Annie's-
is Chef Annie here from the Hot Stove.
and her amazing quiche. Look at that. All right, I bow, Annie.
Yeah, we've had a quiche competition between these two recently. They've got a different approach to the custard.
Annie channels Edna Mode. Just so you know.
Oh.
I know. I blew
She's
last
very
week's
competitive.
quiche. I should have put more custard in, and I think I would have taken it.
The
Rattlesnake
loved it.
beans. Yeah, just needed to be a little thicker.
Are you ready to be on the radio at some point here?
Let her rip.
Okay, let
Did
her rip.
it, did it, did it.
All right. We're back. It's the Hot Stove Show on Cairo Radio. We have an audience that's just getting their quiche and looks like some sliced plums or peaches on this plums and nectarines. So Annie has made quiche. She has proclaimed it the best quiche in history because that's how she thinks of her cooking. And I'm not one to disagree with her. So there you go.
Annie's got game with her
Yeah.
cooking, I gotta say.
Pamela, you brought us the article here. It's not just an article. Geez, it's almost like a book in the center of the New York Times food section. And it's all about ingredients or fewer. And with the idea being that I think the biggest amount of ingredients for one of these recipes was 7, but simple cooking, but still delicious and ethnically diverse. So what drew you to this?
I don't cook as much as you two, but I cook a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm running out of ideas. My playbook is repetitive.
Mm-hmm. You know, I've written 4 cookbooks. I don't know if you know that.
But I've got an excellent pantry with tons of condiments. So what I loved about this article was, okay, so you've got chicken breasts or mushrooms or something again, but what's another take on it?
Mm-hmm.
And I want it, some nights it just has to be fast. You know, I want something I can make that's super delicious in under half an hour.
Mm-hmm.
So the things that caught my eye were the sheet pan, because Melissa Clark has been doing so much with that, sheet pan dinners, but she had that mushroom parmesan, but just elevated it with her panko and basil and a high roast. And then the version...
A high roast meaning high temp.
High temp,
yeah.
Yep. And then the other one was the carrot tart. Annie's been playing with that a lot here.
That is good, yeah.
But the one in this recipe had some feta in it, and I'm just crazy for feta. So rainbow carrots, puff pastry, ricotta, feta blend, with the important tip of roasting vegetables first separately, any of the root vegetables, so you didn't add too much moisture to the mix. And then, contrary to what I just said, there's a long recipe in there for roasting some pork shoulder that looks spectacular. The Puerto Rican take
with the orange.
Yeah,
the
orange.
Nice.
Yeah. So it just I did the same thing. I put the whole thing on the counter to maybe help me organize my shopping and have some new flavors.
So are you cooking through it? Are you going to do each one? Good
Yeah,
for you.
absolutely.
That's awesome.
So,
you know, you talk about feta. I love feta too. The little salmon lints that I brought to your house for your birthday. That was a half feta, half cream cheese mix in the side. Adding feta to things is really like I'm not a big fan of ricotta. To me, it's just too bland. It's too soft. But feta with that salt brine, if you maybe did half and half, or if you just went with feta instead of ricotta, I like that cheese a lot. So,
you know, Tom,
and it's usually sheep's milk instead of cow's milk, so it naturally has a little more flavors.
Correct. And traditionally, feta, I mean, it's made with cow's milk in Italy, but it's also quite frequently made with sheep's milk.
Yeah, and goat too. Yeah,
and it's incredibly flavorful. The bland stuff in the States. Even those Italian versions, I agree, they're bland.
Look right on the label, and it will tell you sheep or cow or goat or a combination. Or how much of that flavor profile in feta is salt? Do you think? Because salt makes everything like jump a little bit more.
Yeah,
but you know, ricotta has salt in it too. So,
I mean, you have a really high quality brand of feta downstairs at Lola. That makes you get those little tubs of pre-ground feta. It's just like the nasty ricotta that you get at the store. Yeah. So it's all about, like, what do they buy? What do our listeners buy when they go buy feta, Tom?
Well, they should go buy sheep's milk feta from Greece or Turkey or whatever. So let's move out of that. And I will say the one thing about the ones that we have downstairs, it used to come when we first opened in oak barrels, oak aged.
Get out!
Yeah. We had to take a hatchet to them and open that barrel up.
No way! That's cool.
So this pernil, Pam, caught my eye. I know.
I want you to make it for
pork
me.
butt. Yeah, you think so? Yeah, I would do this. And it's a very simple recipe in the New York Times scenario, and it sounds classic from
Mhm.
Puerto Rico. So it's just kind of braised with cloves and garlic. The trick on this one is that it's got the skin on still. And you just
That's what I
never
want.
see that in your grocery store. If you want this, you have to go to Wajimaya, or you have to go down into the International District Grocery, Viet Hoa, something like that.
Or to Pam's boyfriend's store.
Well, yeah, he might have pork butt with skin on.
Oh,
Oh,
absolutely.
yeah.
And the sad part about this in this recipe, when I read through it, was that when you pull it out and you go to serve it, they pull the skin off and don't serve it. So, like,
Shock.
who does that?
That is a mess.
Why would you go to all that trouble of getting it perfect?
Well, because
and crispy?
well,
I think it
I
freaks
don't-
people out.
Yeah, it freaks people
like
out.
eating some animal's skin
Yeah. So, anyway,
when you put it that way.
uh,
Sorry.
if you get your roast and you do it with the skin on and it doesn't quite get there, you can finish it with a torch and kind of blister the skin with a torch or under the broiler. Either way,
I think under the broiler. I
Yeah.
don't like the taste of the
yeah, it
torch
gets a
on
little
my
gassy.
food. Yeah.
Mhm.
But that's a great idea to just. So do you just open the pot and just put the pot under?
Or you pull it out, let it rest, and put the whole roast under.
So that it doesn't overcook.
It's just the skin.
Oh, that's a
You're
good
kind
idea.
of taking the top of it. The other one, Pam, that struck me that you would like is the ranch chicken. And you know, it says here Greek yogurt, mayonnaise, chives. You know, they're literally making ranch dressing
yeah,
to put on
why
the
wouldn't
chicken.
you?
So the easier version of that would be buy ranch dressing and just do it. No, but it's good when you're making your homemade ranch to add the homemade herbs to it. So.
yes.
Bridget, did any of these recipes speak to you?
Well, the one on the cover, the sheep pan mushroom parmigiana,
Uh-huh.
is my husband hates mushrooms, but he does like eggplant. So I would do that with eggplant, not mushrooms.
Mhm.
That exact same thing. My husband's trying to eat vegetarian because his cardiologist told him to. And so he does like, and he's like, he's like Sean, tall, skinny guy,
Yeah.
no weight. He weighs 180 pounds. He sucks.
We hate him.
So I love that. And then I did also love the pork. And then the lemony roast fish.
Uh-huh.
I love that. So here in the Northwest, you don't have to go buy $34 a pound halibut or salmon, but you could get some nice coho right now. You could get some nice sockeye that's maybe $12 a
Not
pound.
even. It's so
even lesser.
inexpensive right
Yeah.
now.
But now what I do is I go to the fish market next to her boyfriend's butcher shop and I get rockfish or I
Love
get
it.
sole
versatile.
and it's $5.99 a pound. We're all watching our pennies these days. And so you can take the sole and just take the whole fillet, fold it in half and do this application of capers, lemon juice, olive oil. It's delicious.
Mhm.
So easy. And so that's I do because it's again that sheep pan concept. Build it, turn the oven on, and in you go. 400 degrees, bang, it's done.
Or broil. I love broiling.
broiling it.
rock.
That's
So
what
you
they
get the
did
color?
here
Did
because
they
you can
for the
see the
color?
color on the lemons, but it's something that people. I mean, when you think about cookbooks sometimes or like articles like this, it's nice to have a picture with everything. And when you look this up online, I'm sure you can download this online.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Even better on
The pictures are good because it gives you some ideas about how to finish the preparation. So this is obviously broiled. The lemons are caramelized, and that is a whole different flavor than if you were to pan fry or just bake your fish. Getting some of the caramelization involved
Right.
is really
Right. It's
really
so
important.
delicious. And it's nice that caramelization's nice with capers too. I mean, who doesn't love capers?
I think a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow.
Another thing I liked about this article was when they're saying 7 ingredients or less, and then they say one of the ingredients is use a good pie crust.
Which is
It's funny how
4.
we cheat on some of these things. It's like, yeah, pie crust itself is
yeah.
5 ingredients. So
How long can pie crust live in the refrigerator?
A couple of days. 2-3
Really?
days.
Why is
well, it
it
goes
so-
gray.
I mean, unless
it'll last a long time, but it goes gray.
But
Okay.
yeah, because on a traditional pot brisee versus a pot, the short crust versus a flaky crust is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So a short crust it's called a short crust because there's so much butter in there and it's very well blended. It's almost like a cookie and you don't have the long strands. But the other one, what happens is there's not a lot of moisture. And so if you leave it in, it gets, as the Italians say, puzza.
Ooh.
It gets stinky.
Yeah, that doesn't sound
But
like
it doesn't taste bad.
No, once you bake it, it's fine.
Yeah.
But, if you have the short crust, which makes a delicious, Annie did a flaky here, but a short crust makes a delicious crust. And because of the fat content, it'll keep in the fridge practically a month.
But the idea is you put it in the freezer. Both of those crusts can go in the freezer, and it's better than sitting in the fridge.
It's just one of those things that I would like to have at the ready. But when I make a double batch of crust and I put the other one in the refrigerator, it's like it turns that color, and it's like, oh, do I have to throw it out?
No, if you put it in the freezer, it would have been fine.
Yeah, but when you put it in the freezer, make a disc that's only 1 inch in height.
So it thaws well, and you can start.
And you can
working
start
it.
You
working
immediately start rolling it out, right?
Not immediately, but
Not-
yeah.
Yeah. So you pull it from the freezer.
And let it temper for about 20 minutes.
She can
Yeah.
decide in the morning.
All right, here we go. It's time for food for thought, tasty trivia.
Uh-oh.
Right here. Are we going to invite Annie up and
Yes.
take Annie down? Okay, good. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Look, she's shooting daggers at us.
What's new? You could act a little bit happy to come over and join us.
She's shaking her head, eating her bowl of vegetables.
How'd she do on the key?
I know, it's beautiful. Yay, Annie.
Nice job, Annie. So tasty.
Look at that. Flaky bottom crust.
Cooked.
Look at that color, Tom. And then you look at the side and it's cooked all the way through.
Tell me something I don't know, Bridget.
She's going down.
All right, we're back in the Hot Stove Kitchen. It's time for Food for Thought Tasty Trivia, brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs. We make them ourselves right out there in Ballard. And it's we've got 20 different flavors now, 4 tangy sauces, and a spectacular toasted shallot mustard. They're great additions to your pantry, and Rub with Love can be found locally in grocery stores like the Thriftway or Metropolitan Markets, PCC, as well as shops all around the country. Old Timey Meat Market with three locations in South Carolina.
Amazing.
And Gibbs Butcher Block in Columbia Station, Ohio.
I hope South Carolina, our store there, doesn't get hit by the storm.
Yeah, no kidding.
Ooh.
I know. That's a little shout out to our friends in Florida.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were worried
It's
there.
a tough. Well, you should be. Have you seen the residuals of
Man.
Southern Florida? Southwest
During
coast?
COVID, we were going to go to Sanibel Island at Christmas because we couldn't really get anywhere else. Hawaii was closed. We have our annual trip. So we booked Sanibel Island and they had a big COVID outbreak, so we didn't go. I'm
There you
bummed.
go. All right, Pamela, tell us how to play the game. And we're going to welcome Chef Annie here from the Hot Stove in as our arch rival. And so it's between Annie and Bridget and myself.
Each of the 3 contestants are going to get 5 amazing questions, culinary questions. And then the winner is going to present today's prize to our beautiful visitors from Minnesota, which is going to be
Oh, yay.
a 3-pack of Rub with Love spices. You'll do the honor of presenting, and the losers will just be losers, as Annie likes to say. In all of the dumpling classes she teaches, she humiliates them. All right, we're starting with Bridget. Her mouth is full.
Okay, let's go.
Number 1. What is the name of the South Indian pancake that is crispy on the surface but slightly spongy on the inside with a slight sour taste?
Dosa.
Correct. Number 2. What is the main ingredient in the hot marinade poured over fried fish in the dish of escabeche?
Okay, what was that question again?
the main ingredient of the hot marinade that you pour over the fried fish in the dish escabeche.
The mojo. It's vinegar.
Yes, you're on a roll. Fenugreek seeds form the base of which very popular type of spice blend? So much so that this spice is what people smell, and they think it's what defines the spice blend.
Well, it's either Ras El Hanu or Bahrat.
Those are more sophisticated answers than I was anticipated. Both correct. But I was looking for curry.
Oh, okay.
But you took it to the next level.
Are you sure that there's fenugreek in any of those?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Okay, good.
Hey, Tom.
Well, I know how Pam rolls in this.
So she did
Oh,
not
do you
get the
think she's
answer.
being
That's what you're
biased because
saying.
we're women?
But we're giving it to her because she took it up a level. What? What is the main ingredient in the small fritters called hush puppies?
Cornmeal.
Yeah. And
Not puppies.
I make. Oh man,
Ow.
Annie.
Quiet
ouch,
dogs. Quiet
ouch.
dogs.
Where in Asia are you from?
what are and finally, to get all 5 right, what are the 2 traditional spices in the Italian cotechino sausage?
Fennel. Spices.
Yeah, the spices.
So spices, not herbs.
Yeah.
It's fennel and I want to say black pepper.
My Oxford food companion reference said nutmeg and cloves.
That's what I have. That's what I
No
would say,
way.
yeah.
too.
No,
Tocino.
fennel seed is in
I
there.
bet there would be fennel too.
Okay.
4 out of 5. Pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome.
I'm sticking my tongue out at Annie.
3 out of 5.
No.
Wow. And she's the chef instructor here.
4 out of 5.
Annie Elmore,
Yes.
which parts of the nasturtium plant are edible?
Flowers and the leaves.
Exactly. Name 2 popular shapes of rice noodles.
Shapes.
Yes.
Thick and thin.
Wrong.
Pretty close.
Wide and thin.
Close. And true, but I was looking for vermicelli and rice sticks.
I think that's a loss.
Yeah, that's a no-go there.
That's
a
a
no.
no-go.
Okay.
And you're
I
Asian?
think that question
It's
is very
stick
tricky
or ver-
question right
No,
there.
it's stick. It's
Okay, what's next
vermicelli.
here?
Stick, vermicelli. Yeah. Describe the dish shabu shabu.
It's a Japanese hot pot.
Correct. What do you put in the hot pot traditionally?
Meat, vegetable.
Exactly.
Yay!
Well, you still.
I still think I got the point for the
No.
rice
Yeah, she's
noodles.
gonna
You
one.
can think anything you want.
True or false? Sweet potatoes are part of the morning glory family.
False.
It's true.
True.
What?
Yep. Ooh, loser.
And finally, what is natto?
N-A-T-O.
Natto.
N-A-T-T-O.
Smelly.
Oh.
Yeah.
A-N-A-T-T-O.
No.
Oh, just N-A-T-T-O.
Yep.
Think Japan.
Yep, I'm there.
Think the mountains.
Is it the
Smelly.
soybean fermented
yeah.
soybean? That's
You got it.
yeah.
Nice
Whew,
job.
you pulled that one out.
Thank
Tom,
God,
you
thank God
gave
I was
her-
here for you.
Yeah.
Thank you for pulling it through.
Steamed, fermented, and mashed with a glutinous texture used as a condiment.
Oh,
Yes,
So
that's
stinky.
I
I
can't.
have never-
couldn't.
yeah.
I couldn't do that.
Sorry.
I can do
Sorry,
fish sauce
Japan.
all day. I can do anchovies.
I
all-
tried every
Yeah.
single time.
Yeah,
I
me too.
couldn't do it.
Even mixed into some yummy
Yeah.
rice. No?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
You love it, Pam?
I wouldn't say love,
I would find that
but-
hard to believe.
but I can eat it.
yeah, okay.
It's very nutritious, though.
I know. That's why I got
It's easy to be adventurous on the radio, Tom.
Yeah, it is.
I'm
I'm gonna bring some to her house next time I go over. We're gonna see how much she loves it.
All right, Mr. Douglas. What country serves ribollita and what is it?
Mm.
Oh, the Italians love it, and it is can be widely varying in texture, but typically it's a Tuscan bean and kale soup with some bread thickener.
Exactly. What is the name for Korean barbecued beef?
Bulgogi.
2 for 2. What is the name of the Egyptian spice blend traditionally comprised of nuts, seeds, coriander, cumin, and sesame?
Zatar.
Dukkha.
Dukkha.
Oh.
What is number 4? What is the world's most distinguished orange-flavored liqueur?
The world's?
Mhm.
Because every country would feel strongly about their own.
Distinguished.
No, it's distinguished.
Well, there's a couple.
Just one. Just
The
one.
world's most distinguished.
So what's the best seller?
Distinguished.
There's some cool ones that are more
I
boutique-y,
know,
but
like orange curacao, things like that. So it's either, in my mind, between Cointreau and Grand Marnier. So I'm going to go with Grand Marnier.
Cointreau.
what?
Close.
Oh, I would have gone with the Mariner.
The Mariners play tonight.
We call it the Grand Mariner.
And finally, please describe gefilte fish.
Yuck.
And do you eat it?
No.
Tell us what it is.
It's a gelatinous
Ooh.
kind of stewed fish and often found in jars. And it's very popular for Jewish holidays. Although I don't know if it's more than one holiday. Is it one particular holiday that gefilte fish is eaten?
Usually it's the one.
I think it's the Passover.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Yeah. I don't. Yeah.
We've got to
was-
phone a friend to get this real answer.
Anyway, it's a gelatinous kind of fish. Not quite as bad as lutefisk.
But very similar.
But
Ground
Aren't-
white fish mixed with eggs and matzo meal formed into balls or patties and simmered in stock.
Yeah.
Doesn't
exactly
sound
what I
as-
said.
doesn't sound
I
at all
said
elegant.
yuck.
The reigning champion, Bridget
Yay!
Charter.
Okay, all right.
Nice job. Nice
All
job.
right.
You got a couple of sore losers staring at you right now.
But
In our second hour, we've got seasoning powders from Pantry Staples, traditional and modern sauces, and 2 chefs from the fabulous evening coming up. Taste of Iceland, October 6th through 9 at the Carlisle Room. So hang with us on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show 97.3 FM.
woohoo. Oh man. I know.
Okay.
Yeah. Just, check them out, pass them around. And he's gonna cook some minis. So you can taste them.
Oh.
So good.
Tom, have you talked to Kurt Dameyer recently?
I just emailed him yesterday.
Oh. I couldn't find his direct email, so I sent. I want to get him in here to get an update. Talking to him. Peace. He probably won't. He probably won't talk about that part.
Can't eat it. He's allergic.
He's got rheumatoid
Microbiome stuff. He's allergic.
Maybe.
Has anybody gotten a parking ticket lately? Have you? Do you know what's going on with it? I saw a thing in the paper about police officers and parking duty.
Welcome back. And did you know that many of your everyday ingredients can be dried into powders to intensify their punch for instant depth of flavor? Why not try this with capers or miso or scallions or whatever? We're going to talk about that right now here at the Hot Stove Society Show. I'm Tom Douglas.
Yay, Bridget Charters.
And Bridget Charters sitting in for Chef Terry, who's in Morocco.
So jealous.
Leading a little food tour over there. Good for him. He loves it there. I hope he's having a ball, he and Kathy. So Pam, this one struck me in a funny way, as you and I talked
you're not
about.
Believing it.
No. It's not that I don't believe it. I liked your explanation, though, for why it might be interesting. So I keep capers. Like this whole article is about how to kind of dry out pantry staples that you could then use in maybe a different way. And you explained to me that, like I said, well, I just always keep capers. And you explained to me what?
That when you dry them and turn them into a powder, I think you get a different impact on the dish. It incorporates more fully.
So, like what you're
using a caper as a perfect example, if you just had the little seed or berry,
It's a bud.
Bud. If you just had the little bud, you would get like one bite of it on your fish. But if you had the caper powder that you used in your dressing over the whole fish, you would get that caperness in every bite.
right.
And I got onto this because I started using the red boat salt more often
Got it.
than their fish sauce, their wet version, because I think it just more fully affects the dish. So I love capers.
Uh-huh.
I haven't tried that yet, but miso was the other one that really captured my attention.
Oh,
Deb.
that's
So,
interesting.
Miso is, in funny way, is the one that I don't understand the most because it's already a paste. And if you mix it into a soup, you mix it into a soup, right? So I guess the other question would be, how would you use, or why would you use the powdered version instead of the wet version of miso? So I could see it in a spice rub or something like that, where you would bring some of that umami kind of character to a spice rub. You wouldn't really know what it is that you're eating, but you're eating fermented soybeans essentially in miso. So the red boat salt, the essence of umami. I've seen this all over the place now, and I know you got yours at Chef Shop, but it's at the regular grocery stores
It is
now
now?
too. Yeah, and the ingredients are, fish sauce is basically salted anchovies.
Yes.
The salt, right, and the salt kind of eats at the anchovies, and it becomes syrup essentially. So in this package, the ingredients are anchovies and sea salt, and so I'm surprised on the front where it says red boat salt. It's really
Anchovies.
anchovies. I'm surprised they don't have to say anchovy salt, which
salt.
would kill the sales of.
Correct. Correct.
But you still get that same cool, great thing where on fish sauce where it kind of stinks, but when you have it on the food, it's like a great blue cheese, right? It just is a wonderful addition.
It's a game changer.
Yeah.
And Annie was just looking at the package and said that the reason that fish sauce and now the salt gets so much more attention is because it's from the most desirable island where the anchovies are harvested.
Oh.
And when you land there, the whole place smells like fish sauce. But it's
Is that? It just stinks. Yeah.
So don't book a hotel there.
Just go for lunch.
Go for snorkeling.
The other thing I liked about this article, this is in Fine Cooking. Is that the name of this magazine?
Cooks Illustrated.
Is the one on green onion side of this.
Yeah.
That's
And I
interesting.
think that oftentimes you end up in your fridge with like a half a bunch of green onions that you didn't end up using. And this is a simple way to just put them on. This one calls for just drying them out in the microwave, but you could also throw them in the oven, just let them dehydrate in the oven, and then make a powder, and you don't waste them. I like that. I do the
That's
same
a good
thing
idea.
with, like when you bought too many onions, or it always happens. Jackie and I go to the grocery store separately. We both come back with the same ingredients, double what we need. So then if you're making browned onions and something, you just make them all, and you freeze the extra browned onions, and it's a great place to start when you're having a quick supper.
Oh, that's what you mean your
Yeah.
caramelized onions. You
Yeah,
just put them in a little tub.
preservation wise.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a big stand-up Trolson freezer, don't you?
I have two. Yeah, I have a Sub-Zero 48-inch in my garage.
Nice, nice.
So
My husband's always like, "What's in the freezer? Get it out of there!" And it's like, "Oh my god!"
why do you put up with this guy? He's
I know he's a good guy.
okay. That's why you do it right there.
But this article led me to thinking about why you created your dry mushroom powder, because the classic that everybody probably has is shiitakes, some sort of dried mushroom in their cupboard that they
Oh,
could use to beef up some flavor or pump up some
porcini.
flavor. But traditionally, I think it's more often porcini.
Well,
but-
the Italian, the Asian market is all about dried shiitake.
Yeah.
So when you were thinking about your pulverizing mushrooms for the rub,
Mhm.
what were you trying to get at?
Well, I was trying to get that essence. So we use porcini in the exotic mushroom rub, and trying to get that essence of that flavor without it being truffles. Something unaffordable. Although I will tell you, porcini is getting less and less affordable. But you can do the same with shiitakes or mushrooms. You can preserve your own, right? Dry your own, and then pulverize them into a powder and use them in a mushroom rub. Me, our mushroom rub I use as a gravy helper, and so it's got lots of mild chili or like herbs de Provence, dried mushrooms, and God, when you're making turkey gravy at Christmas time or beef gravy at just throwing a couple tablespoons of the mushroom rub into your browned onion gravy, and it just changes the dynamic. And you can do the same with your own dried mushrooms.
Would you consider splitting half of that mushroom rub with dry shiitakes.
Yeah, of course. Well, I love the woodsy flavor of shiitake. That's my second favorite mushroom.
Oh, okay.
I just love them. And, the dried shiitakes that you see in the Asian markets all the
Right.
time are more than just a preservation method. It's a texture that is often adored in Asian cooking, is that kind
Right.
of gelatinous quality when you rehydrate a dried shiitake.
That toothsome quality,
Yeah.
which porcinis do not have.
They do not get.
They
yeah.
get mushy if
Yeah.
you. Oh,
But that's why you
interesting.
see so many dried shiitakes in the Asian markets. Is that's a texture thing that is revered.
Right. Right.
So,
When you powder your scallions, what are you going to use it on?
well, again, we had that little like, well, why don't just use capers? But I can see where you know how you use basil to make a pesto, and you could do the same thing with a scallion pesto, or you could powder them up. Like if you're going to sear a scallop and put you don't want to cook it long enough to have browned onions on it. But if you put a scallion powder on your scallop, it'll sear
Ooh.
and brown just as fast as.
That's what we're talking about.
I'd
Just
put them
as
on
fast as-
eggs.
Eggs. That's great.
I would fry eggs and put that green onion powder on eggs, and then put it on some steamed rice for brekkie.
Ooh. She's
On the
sounding
fly.
very British today.
Yeah.
Now we're having brekkie.
What was the other thing you said that I was like
Knackered.
knackered? I would get knackered if I ate that for breakfast. Coming up, getting saucy. Old style versus new style, or classic versus contemporary. However you want to think about it.
Got
On
it.
Cairo, it's Bridget and Tom going toe to toe at the Hot Stove Society, 97.3 FM.
Awesome.
Try the salt. What'd you think?
Intense. Yeah, it's super intense. Yep, that's all you need.
Oddly, it's very salty.
Open it up, pass it around, smell it.
The sauce idea is one you've had on your list to do as a class.
We've done it once.
Oh,
With-
did you?
Schwartz and I did it.
Oh,
Or were you?
I thought I was in it.
Was that the? It was for Food Lovers Weekend.
That makes sense.
Talking about it, yeah, because Tom was there, and so the three of us were just,
Saucing it up.
it's amazing. I mean, and Terry'd be a good one
Yeah, that was.
because, I mean, me too. I mean, that's your training, but like, I was thinking about it last night as I was going to sleep, and it's like you just don't see those sauces.
Well, I think about it every time I teach Italian classics, and I have to try and make your floured chicken gravy for your chicken marsala or chicken
I think you've replaced it, right?
saltimbocca. Yeah,
No, it was the
yeah, it's the saltimbocca, isn't it?
no, it's the piccata. And I just didn't write the recipe well because when I was working at Carmine's, I'd put a teeny bit of flour on my fingers and just
That's enough.
kind of flick it on the fish just to create a slight thickener. But now I'm allergic to wheat.
Oh, is that true?
Truly?
Did not know that. How'd you do pasta class last night?
I didn't
Just
eat
held
any.
your breath? Well, it's
No,
in the
no,
air.
no,
when
I'm
you-
not celiac.
Oh,
I'm not celiac. I have a wheat, our family, like many family members in the charters, have a wheat allergy. My sister has rheumatoid arthritis. They think it's from wheat. Just severe allergy.
Yeah.
It's a bummer. But I cheat like I had her quiche.
how you feeling?
I get a little bloated. And then if I have a lot, like I have
What
a
if you have to
beer
go out
or
and play old
something-
lady tennis this afternoon?
Oh my God, I got to go. Yeah, work it out.
You've got to do a lot of fedora when you're in Italy and knock the pasta back a bit. Although I have
You mean
read,
vegetabolo?
yeah, that a lot of the allergies and reactions are from the highly processed meats.
Correct.
And when you have the heritage varieties
Correct.
that aren't stripped of their hulls and nutrients, they're easier on your body.
Right. It's true. I had a friend, Lauren, who owned Veef. She was teaching at the Art Institute. We had kind of a cheap commodity flour, and she had an anaphylactic reaction. She had an anaphylactic reaction at work one day. We had to take her to the hospital. It was that bad. Out of the blue one day. And it was just, she was up to her arms in flour and she like, boom, that was it. And so she had to go on this quest for a year to clear her system out. Turns out she had a parasite that she'd picked up in Mexico that was affecting her microbiome. She got to the point where she was only, the most she was eating was like carrots, celery, onions, simmered chicken broth. That was it. In order to
Sounds like a
clear
diet
out,
I need to go on.
oh my God, it was amazing. It was fascinating. But then she went to Italy, no problem. Bread, pasta, pizza.
So maybe it was the parasite the whole time and had nothing to do with the
Well,
flour.
it turned out it was to a degree the flour, and they think it was the glyphosate, the Roundup in the wheat, in those commodity wheats.
Good thing we've got access to better wheats here in Washington now.
It's so true. So true. I was talking about that last night.
Were you using Karen Springs?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
We're waiting for the Karen Springs Fortissimo, which is their semolina flour. They don't have a large enough production to cover us for pasta, but I use the Trailblazer.
It's a wonderful up in Skagit, and they've just been really great varieties of wheat and blends.
Bread
Really
flour,
proud of them.
pastry flour,
Yeah.
all-purpose flour, delicious. Anywhere.
Isn't the PCC has it? Town and Country Market have it.
Met Market has it.
Net Market. Yeah.
De Laurenti carries it now.
It's twice the price of regular flour, so it has to be a more fancy grocery store.
They're
It's
working
got
on the big guns.
flavor.
Yeah, but it's delicious, and it's milled less than a month or two ago. What you're getting.
All right, here we go. You ready?
Yep.
It's classic versus contemporary time here in the Hot Stove Kitchen. I'm up standing right here with Bridget Charters, one of the chef instructors here at the Hot Stove,
Yeah.
who's sitting in for Mr. Chef in the Chapeau today. And Bridget, you and I have very different backgrounds.
Correct.
Will you explain to people kind of how you learned how to cook and where you've traveled and all that sort of thing?
So I trained classically. I worked in restaurants when I was in college because my dad got pissed at me because I couldn't balance a checkbook. So he said, "That's it. You're cut off." So I got a job and I started cooking in restaurants. So not
Because you
classically.
couldn't balance a checkbook, you got cut off from a multi-billion-dollar estate.
Oh, it wasn't multi-million-dollar.
Okay.
But anyway, so I ended up in culinary school in San Francisco, and there it was French classics. That's what we were taught, and that was the norm. It
The
was
order of the day.
yeah,
Yeah.
Escoffier and that whole concept, kind of based on the CIA New York. I trained with those Frenchies, and then trained with a classical Sicilian chef, Carlo Medioni, R.I.P. Just passed away 2 days ago.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
He had that great deli in San Francisco.
Oh my God,
yeah.
amazing place. Yeah. And so Carlo used a lot of the classics, but kind of more like Marcella Hazan, the tomato, the bechamel. But we also made demi. We made those sauces, those classical sauces, those 5 mother sauces.
Right.
And
So even in your travels in Italy, you had to deal with and make those, right?
Zabayon and Hollandaise and demi-glace and
my background is a bit opposite of that. I'm seat of the pants kind of trained. Went to work in the Hotel DuPont where I could have gotten classically trained and did
Right.
on some things like Hollandaise and Mornay and all that kind of thing that you made in big batches for the hotel.
right.
And then out here, when I came out here at 18, I just worked in restaurants. And so you just pick up this and that.
But you came
You can make
here.
Alfredo sauce and think you're a pretty damn fine cook. So
Right.
reduced cream.
Right. But you came to Seattle specifically, and that was
I
the
didn't know.
headwaters of Pan-Asian cuisine.
But I will
Not
tell
Hawaii.
you, I did not know that, nor was it all that prevalent when I got here.
Really?
No, that was part of me.
Oh, interesting.
Loving Asian cuisine. Don't you think, Pam, when you were here? That was
But Cafe Sport was pre-you, right?
no, I was Cafe Sport. I was the opening chef at Cafe Sport.
Were you really? I
Yeah.
didn't know that.
Jeez
History
Louise.
lesson.
My goodness.
Wow.
Anyway, so I eschewed stocks and things like that. I hated stock reductions. I was much more a fan of quick little pureed fruits or salsas or things like that. If I did a
Right.
roast pork, it was always with roasted apricot or jalapeno and roasted apricot. Or
Nice.
it was never heavy sauces, which is funny because today I consider myself a gravy god.
Well, there you have it.
That's
And which is a very
velouté.
much a rude sauce in a funny way. So
Rude, R-U-D-E or
no,
R-U-X?
R-U-O-X. Rude. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not sure it can be a verb like that. Point being, I do have both of those in my background now, and let's talk about a classic sauce and then maybe how I would take it on as a more modernized version. So let's start with bechamel.
Okay.
So how do you make a classic bechamel?
So to make a really beautiful bechamel, what's key, and Tom mentioned it, is roux, and that's the combination of, you go down, it's a combination of flour and fat. If you go to Louisiana, the fat is lard, the fat is oil, the fat is not necessarily butter, but in some of the fancier restaurants, they use butter because of that big French influence down there. When you're making a bechamel a la French, you're using clarified butter and cooking the roux because it gets to a higher smoking point, and you're browning that roux slightly and then working in some nice milk. And then that's being seasoned with classically bay leaves, a bit of white pepper, salt, and a bit of nutmeg.
I always had a clove-studded onion in my.
An onion piqué,
Yeah,
sure,
yeah.
sure, in the classical. And either it's done, or you do a bag of spices, that sachet d'épices.
Mhm.
And then it's typically cooked slowly on the stove for hours. Carlo Medioni taught me to just put the darn pot in the oven.
Hmm.
And then you don't have to worry about the heat from the bottom and potential scorching. You just cook it all over and then strain it. Silky, elegant, not necessarily flowery.
Floury, as in
The flour
The
didn't
grain,
develop
yeah,
in the
yeah,
cooking
yeah.
process. You rushed it. You cooked it too fast. You didn't properly incorporate the liquid.
I get caught up in those old wives' tales about that because when you think about that, how long it takes to cook out the flour, and then you look at a quick little pan sauce like the piccata you talked about, or if you look at gnocchi, which is 50% flour, and you cook it for 1 minute or 2 minutes,
Right.
So something's wrong in the mix about having to cook flour to a certain doneness in my
Hydration, right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I always liked the more brown roux out of Louisiana better.
Yeah.
That our friends Kate Paul and
God, amazing.
and Emerald and all those guys were hot on and were such a big deal back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
But for bechamel, there's no other real way to make it without the roux unless you just are doing reduced cream.
Correct.
Right. So that's
like you said, an Alfredo.
Yeah. All right,
which
next
is
one.
delicious.
Next classic sauce.
But how would you sub? What would you sub if you were going to not do a bechamel?
I would do just reduced cream with cheese in it. So that's my thickener.
Got it.
If I'm using it, say, to make lasagna, I just make a much thinner lasagna. I don't have that thick bechamel layer in my lasagna.
Got it.
It's unnecessary. Moussaka, the same thing, right? Where it has a big bechamel layer in it.
Oh, you don't do that?
No, I just make a thinner.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Sauce. You can also thicken it with egg yolks. You just have to take it off the heat.
And then make a liaison and then tighten it back up. Got it. That's cool.
So for another one that we like, hollandaise. On here it says Espanol hollandaise. I don't even know what that is.
No, Espanol is
comma hollandaise.
Espanol is the basis. So again,
Espanol is just a red sauce, right?
No, Espanol is that brown sauce. So when you make roux, you're making a bechamel, you're making a velouté. So the white roux is bechamel, the blonde roux is velouté, and the dark roux goes into a Espanol, which is then the basis of that classic sauce demi-glace. And Espanol, you make it just like a bechamel. An Espanol is made just like a bechamel. except you're adding what kind of stock, Tom? Tasty trivia.
On Espanol,
Yeah,
brown stock.
correct.
Yeah.
A beautiful brown veal stock. Then, as you add your sequential additions of that brown veal stock, it becomes a demi-glace, a half glass. Rather than what Tom would do is reduce that veal stock.
Without any sort of
Correct.
brew
Thickener.
or thickener. Yeah.
But it's more economical.
The other way.
Correct.
Yeah.
for the
Or
French.
a lot of people, you see in a lot of restaurants, they use cornstarch and it's just this shiny mess.
Slurry.
And in
Gross.
Chinatown, literally, when you get egg foo young or almond chicken or something like that, it's water, soy sauce, and cornstarch.
Thickened up.
Yeah, thickened up.
You're a little snotty.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's early.
Pam, who was the author we had on last week that talked about having like 5? It was the dessert book, I think, or where she had learned the classics and then just learn how to then grow from there, change them to the seasons. Alexandra, yeah.
Rapisano.
No,
Rapisano.
it doesn't pertain anymore.
It kind of does. In some, she was doing classic French baking, and baking is a little bit more scientific and technical, where
Right.
you have to kind of understand the process,
Mhm.
rather than throwing in brown stock into a sauce. So I do think that there is some room to learn some of that, how roux works, and then take it in different directions as you want. So
Sure. I was at Casper's the other night, and he made the roux
Casper
base.
Donier, I
Yeah,
haven't seen him. In
he
a
looks so
million
good.
years.
He's skinny.
You
Yeah,
Stop eating wheat.
probably. He made the roux based gnocchi parisienne.
Ah.
Oh.
Which is just pot au choux. It's that roux cooked in a pot, and then eggs are added, and it's whipped and then piped, just like little profiterole.
Will you make that for us?
Sure.
Is he open for dinner?
Well, they're catering, and they've got that cafe. And pre-COVID, they opened the cafe, but now he owns the 2 businesses across the street from that. He owns those spaces across, and they're catering.
Is this up in Edmonds? Where are they?
No, they're just right here in
Magnolia.
Magnolia,
Oh, in
down the
Magnolia.
street from Met Market.
Okay, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, Taste of Iceland returns to Seattle. It's a unique celebration of Icelandic culture through food and music and art. And one of these days, on my way to Glasgow, which I go to a couple times a year,
You're going to stop.
I'm going to do that layover thing with Iceland Air. They let you stay a couple of nights in Reykjavik
Yeah.
or in Iceland and
Yeah.
get back on the plane with no extra charge. So
Sounds amazing.
one of these days, I just haven't done it, but we've done this Taste of Iceland for years. So looking forward to doing that. We're going to Zoom with them when we come back on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Awesome. Wow, that's amazing. Here's our little potato. You guys get your potato? Did you get one?
Oh, great.
Man.
Thank you.
You know, when you're in England in the spring, they have every restaurant has a side of Jersey potatoes. It's the new, not those, not so small, but similar in nature, but just new potatoes with cream and chives. Every restaurant.
Jersey potatoes? What's that?
Well, there's the Isle of Jersey there in the English Channel, and I
Oh.
don't know if they actually come from there or if it's just a seed variety
Right.
that everyone plants. Very highly regarded.
Yeah, maybe I'll stop my old boss, Johnny Fossil. Box. San Francisco, Polio. I worked.
Olio, New York.
No, the Polio in San Francisco, Polio d'Asti. Anyway, he was kind of the rival to Larry McDell and
Which was a really good is, so they went too big.
right. Anyway, Johnny's like, there's so much going on. He just emailed me today, and I'm like, I'm going to fly to see him. Like I might not. I can still go.
Are you going through?
I'm going. Yeah, I'm taking Iceland Air. Can you get me an upgrade, Tom? Talk to me. Get an upgrade. You do Iceland Air.
Iceland Air Saga Club. Super great. That's the great part.
Yeah. Would you say hello?
Hello, can you hear us? Can you try unmuting yourself, please? That work? Oh, there you go.
Yay! We asked Megan to send the pronunciation of your name, but I can't get the audio file to work correctly. Could you please introduce yourself to our group?
You muted yourself again. Can you take yourself off mute?
My name is Victor Örn Andresson. You can come
Welcome.
through.
All right.
Thank
Victor,
you for joining us.
Keep your mic on, okay, Victor?
Yeah, the spot sit down.
That's a little better. You're coming in a little warbled, garbled.
I'm gonna sit down here, so it's gonna be easier.
Oh,
All right.
that's
Perfect.
very
Much better.
much better.
And is it Bjarki? Is she going to? Are they going to be on?
I think, yeah. I'm not with him,
Okay.
but he is in another place. But he's supposed to be here.
All right. We'll see if he can zoom in too. We'll give him a few minutes. We're a little bit early.
Yeah, I was a little early. I will text him.
We just like to go a little bit early to get things kind of set up ready for the show. So
Yeah, I agree.
Victor, were you here before? Your name looks so familiar.
Yeah, I've been I think 2 times in Seattle.
Yes, that's
Salaya Lounge and what's the name of the other restaurant I went to?
Carlisle Room.
Oh, there
Oh,
you
yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Yes, we know you. Hello. We have you on the screen now. Oh, this is fun. But are you coming for this trip?
No, I'm not coming for this trip. I have to be in Iceland at the time, so that's why Bjarki is coming.
All right.
Hey, I'm here.
And you pronounce that Bjarki, right?
Do you hear me? Bjarki.
Okay.
Heyrðu í okkur ekki? Já, heyrðu þú mér? Já,
What
Hey,
time is
Mira.
it? Where are you?
Bjarki, right?
Is it the
Bjarki.
morning or evening?
in Iceland.
Yeah.
It's evening now.
Yeah, they're 8 hours ahead of us.
Okay, so you've already had a
Mm.
glass of wine.
Ah, soon.
Two.
Well, we're so excited because we've had the distinct honor of hosting the Taste of Iceland at a number of our different restaurants over the years, and I think today we want to focus on the food, of course, because that's the part we play. But Taste of Iceland is much bigger than the food, with the other cultural elements that you all bring together, and anything that you have time to add about the other opportunities. But of course, we want to concentrate on the Carlisle Room and eating the delicious Icelandic menu. But make sure our guests know that there are many ways to participate
Yeah.
in Iceland. Thank you.
And we have 2 segments. I think I'd like to start with the Icelandic culture piece first. And then on the last segment, we'll get into the menu that we're going to serve at the Carlisle Room and what other opportunities are out there to do.
The tasting too, because
Right.
the beverages are also interesting.
So the whole second segment, which is 9.5 minutes, will be that. But the first segment, we're going to kind of come in and introduce people. Oddly enough, I'm sure a lot of people don't even know where Iceland is. just like they don't know where the state of Delaware is, where I was born or grew up. So, so we'll kind of explain Iceland itself and maybe some of the natural abundance that happens there. You might not think about a country called Iceland. You don't really think of natural farm abundance.
Okay.
And then we'll also figure out why Mr. Trump wanted to buy Greenland.
Maybe you could move there.
So do you hear me all good?
Yes.
Ah, great to hear.
And do we have Bjarke also?
Yeah, sorry for the delay.
No,
Small
you're
technical
great.
problem.
You're right on time. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to do a read first, and then we'll go right into it. So welcome back. It's the Hot Stove Society Show on Cairo Radio. Coming down to it here on this beautiful day. We are going to jump all the way over to Iceland. Bridget, have you ever flown Iceland Air through Reykjavik?
I'm going on Tuesday.
Nice.
Can you hook me up? I want to go
You wanna-
saga class.
You want to go saga class?
Yeah.
Good luck.
Can you connect me?
You have to buy. I'll tell you though, from Seattle to Europe, Iceland Air, like instead of going through Heathrow, Iceland Air cuts 5 hours off your travel time.
Go up over the
So
top.
you just go up over the top, and then you head down instead and go over Iceland, and then all the way down to London, then all the way back up to Glasgow or Edinburgh.
I'm excited.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's Iceland Air is a truly a I'm on that airline all the time. So today we're going to talk about Taste of Iceland 2022, an annual celebration of Icelandic culture in North America. Concluding the series of fall festivals, Reykjavik's sister city, Seattle is hosting the Taste of Iceland from October 6th through October 9th. Throughout the weekend, locals can transport themselves to Iceland with a series of events inspired by and in celebration of the best of Icelandic culture through food and beverage and music, design, films, art, and more. Over the course of the 4-day festival and in partnership with local businesses here in Seattle, including us at the Carlisle Room, KEXP, Bianco Gallery, Majestic Bay Theaters right there in Ballard, the National Nordic Museum, which if you haven't been yet, spectacular.
So great. Yeah.
Over in Ballard, Life on Mars, and 210 Seattle. All are participating in these different activities celebrating Iceland. The culinary experience is offered at $95 for the Carlisle Room. And in our second segment, we're kind of going to jump into that deeper. But we've invited a couple of folks from Iceland. They're zooming in right now. We're talking
so amazing.
7 or 8 hours away. We have Victor and Bjarke from Iceland. Both are you guys both chefs, Victor, or just yourself?
Both.
Both. There you go.
Both, yes.
So tell us about Iceland and its natural abundance. And I think sometimes people hear the word Iceland and they just think that it's covered like Antarctica, but it's not. I've flown in there many times. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, many people think Greenland is green and Iceland is covered in ice. So that's a little bit mistake. Iceland is it's big country and a lot of different nature wherever you go. Nice people.
Nice people. Yeah, you always hear that. Super friendly. So when you fly into the airport there, I think the first thing that struck me is that there's no trees.
Yeah, it's so windy, so the tree doesn't stay here. No, we have some tree, but we don't have like a big forest like you have in USA and anywhere else. But like if you're driving around Iceland, sometimes you can see tree which is like a left or right turn. That's because the wind from the mountain. So that's a little bit joke, but also truth about the tree. And it's more of the tree and bigger forest in the east of Iceland, east part.
So they didn't chop all the wood.
It's not so many.
Right. And so is it like Scotland when you need heat in the winter? Do you burn peat or what do you burn for? I know there's geothermal activity, but what is traditional?
We just turn on off the oven. It's a water. Everything is water, hot water. So all the heating system in Reykjavik and most of the area, it's a cold water, which is heated with like a steam from the ground, like boiling hot steam, which go through the pipe with cold water, and out of that come like 80 degrees Celsius water.
Oh, wow.
So that's how we heat our houses.
So yeah,
And swimming pools. We have swimming pool everywhere in Iceland.
So they used reindeer poop before, I think.
yeah, exactly. Let's talk about the natural abundance. What are you? This now September, almost October in Iceland. What are you harvesting at this point, if anything, getting ready for the winter?
Now it's mostly like a game season. We are but for the, like, are you talking about vegetables or stuff like that?
Sure, whatever. How are you feeding yourself these days, and what do you serve in the restaurants?
So it's the same, like I was talking about. We have so hot ground, and so we have a lot of greenhouses. So we make our vegetables all year round in that, like tomatoes and cucumber and stuff like that. And also the summer is getting a little bit longer, so September is actually good, and we make barley and like most of the vegetable we can make here if we want. But of course, a lot of the vegetables are imported, but we have our own like potato, cauliflower, carrots, and like tomatoes. So yeah.
And of course, I'm sure you have all the different dairy items that when I've been there, I've seen Icelandic cheese, of yogurt, all sorts of.
Yeah, and the skyr. We also, we have, of course, we have all the milk products made here.
Somebody recently gave me 6 bottles of Olafsson gin from Iceland.
Oh, I hope it's all done. It's so good.
Yes, it is really good.
What about the skyr? What is that?
The skyr is it's something between cheese and yogurt. It's low fat and high in protein, and this has been our breakfast for years or centuries in Iceland. When I was growing up, it was it was thicker than you can buy today in a store, and you have to add sugar in it. And we always mix it with fresh blueberries and a little bit of cream, and that's what we ate like every day or many mornings during the week.
Adding some cream.
And what is it called?
Skyr.
Skyr.
Skyr. Norwegian.
Oh, got it.
You can get it, I think, in local store in Seattle.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, at the
The other thing that's very prevalent over there that I see is licorice. When did that become a staple of the Icelandic culture?
I'm not sure, but it has been there since I was, at least I remember me, so at least 30 years. But this is a licorice. It's in most of our candy. We put it in everything. I don't know why, but it's really Icelandic thing.
Interesting.
Huh.
You've never traveled around there before, have you, Bridget?
No, I'm going on Tuesday, so I'll.
What would you most, if you were spending a few days in Iceland? I mean, everyone hears about the Blue Lagoon. I've never been, but what would you most like
great.
to see?
Right. Yeah. And this past year with the James Beard Awards, there were 2 Icelandic cookbooks that were spectacular that were included in the book judging. One was from Slipperum, I think it is, the restaurant. I'd love to go to some of those famous Michelin restaurants in Iceland. I think it'd be so interesting. And then I wanted to go to the North Coast, to the sea up there. I hear it's spectacular.
Victor, do you know those books that she's talking about? The one that the cookbooks. What was the name of them?
Yeah, the one there was.
The Slipperin is a restaurant in Vestmannaeyjar Island, which is an island south of Iceland. You can take a ferry there from the mainland.
Right. And then I can't remember the name of the other book, but it was all based on fish and foraging. And so the entire book was based on fish. And both of them were they were rather esoteric, but spectacular, because it's so hard for us to imagine what that food is, but they've eked such amazing cuisine out of practically nothing, which is fascinating about Icelandic cuisine. It's so delicious.
About any cuisine, it's so hard to realize how many things around you are edible.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, isn't that what Red Zeppi got famous for? And
right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's this big resurgence that's happening in Iceland. They're going back to their roots and just using what's on the island and calling that the cuisine. So it's fascinating, really interesting.
Victor, before we take a break, Bridget is really desperate to upgrade to Saga class on Tuesday when she. Can you send her some miles or something to use?
Where are you cooking
Yeah, no
right
problem.
now, Victor?
Excuse me. What do you say?
Where are you cooking right now?
I have my own company. It's called Lux Catering, and it's a catering company which we serve up from 2 people to 2,000 or more. And then we have like a gourmet butcher store
Oh.
in the same location.
Lamb
so
and
we are
beef.
selling Icelandic people Icelandic lamb and beef and everything to have with it.
I love a gourmet butcher store.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
Mostly she loves a gourmet butcher.
Without his shirt on.
All
I
right.
can't wait to visit you.
When we come back, we're going to jump into the menu that we're serving at the Carlisle Room, all based on Icelandic recipes and products. And we're going to go top to bottom when we come back on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. That's good.
So excited for this menu.
So-
Is the mixologist coming this time? I think I saw that one of the tastings was at Life on Mars. When you were here, didn't you have a mixologist with you?
Yeah, the second time.
The second time, yeah.
Yeah, it's always good to have a good friend with you, especially
Yes.
if it's a partner.
Yeah.
So is he coming? No, somebody else
The
is.
other chef.
The arcade.
Oh.
So I'm
Oh,
coming.
there he is. Okay.
The arcade. Don't be afraid to jump in here whenever you want.
Thank you.
He can do the menu.
You can do the menu. Which
Definitely.
one of you guys wrote the menu? Do you know? Oh, there he is. Hi.
Hi.
Is this any one of your in particular's food, or who wants to speak to the food as we go back on the air?
I mean, I can
You
do
want to
it.
speak? Yeah.
It's a mix of our menu, so
It'd be
All right.
his.
So, Bjarke, since Victor spoke through the first one, we're going to start with you when we come back.
sounds great.
Sorry about not adding your last names because I don't wanna-
It's quite tough.
You can try to say it.
Let's try.
Guys, and names are.
Bjarke
Right.
Snare Portensen.
So I would say the Bjarki Snær Þorsteinsson.
Portensen. Okay.
It's a
And Andrensen.
it's a tough language.
I think I'm going to stay with Bjarke. You saw my phonetic spelling. I don't know if you can see it or not, but
Who's great? Yeah.
Richard, are you ready? All right.
Yeah.
All right, we're back in the hot stove and we're continuing our chat with the folks from the Taste of Iceland. Just a reminder, the official partners for this visit from the group from Iceland are the Carlisle Room, which is our restaurant up across from the Paramount Theater, KEXP, the radio station,
Yep.
Bianco Gallery, Majestic Bay Theaters, National Nordic Museum over there in Ballard. It's brand new, and they have a delicious little cafe, and it's a fun place to spend at least a half a day, if not more. And then Life on Mars and 210 Seattle are both participating in this event. So it's October 6th through the 9th. I know of this segment, we're going to focus on the Carlisle Room experience, which is a dinner that's offered at $95 with an optional drink pairing for $35. As I said to Victor earlier, I just got this gin. A friend of mine sent me 6 bottles. I think he might be an investor or something, but
I'll
it's
take
delicious.
a bottle. Can I have a
Yeah,
bottle?
you can have a bottle. I sent. Did I give one to you, Pam? No, Pam didn't get anything. I like that. Okay, so we're chatting with Victor Anderson, and now we're going to head over to Bjarke Snare Portinson. As best I could do.
Good job. That
Yeah.
was good.
Bjarke, I'm
was
looking
quite
at this menu, and we're starting with Icelandic lobster soup with scallops, Icelandic wasabi, and grilled onion. Do you want to take us through that dish a little bit?
So yeah, we have great Icelandic scallops that we hand dive in the west of Iceland.
Mm-hmm.
We hand sear them, put them in the middle of the plate, make these nice grilled onions, put them around, and we have this delicious Icelandic lobster soup that has been with us for many years. So it's kind of a traditional Icelandic dish that we have upgraded.
With wasabi.
With Icelandic wasabi. Wasabi is hard to grow. How are you doing that?
So it's only 2 countries that grow the wasabi. So quite interesting. But they started a few years ago, and it's
Well, we're losing Bjarke.
You hear me?
Victor, Bjarke is frozen up. Do you want to take on that dish, or do you know about it?
Yeah, no problem. So, like you were saying, this langoustine soup, it's a traditional plate in Iceland. We've been this is like when we want to have nice time, we serve langoustine soup and grilled lamb. So we've been taking this plate and just opted it to like a la carte standard. The wasabi is new in Iceland. It's been here for like I think 3 or 4 years. It's made in a greenhouse with the right exactly the right atmo to grow it, and it's really unique and really nice thing.
Lovely.
Really spicy, and we've been letting the people from Japan taste it, and it's really good, and they are really happy about it.
I can't wait to try that.
Yeah. Is it like a bouillabaisse?
It's not. It's like a creamy bouillabaisse.
Oh, a creamy. Okay, yeah. Sounds great.
All right, next dish is steamed cod with brown butter, champagne sauce, and roasted sunchokes. What are we looking for there?
So we have this nice Icelandic cod. It's like the fish that we eat the most in Iceland. With that, we have the roasted sunchokes.
And how are you?
The champagne sauce.
Are you doing your own sparkling wine on the in Iceland, or are you bringing in champagne?
So
No,
unfortunately,
we'll bring it in.
yeah.
All right, and then we're going to jump right into after that. We have grilled lamb fillet with baked celeriac, grilled kale, and lamb jus. And a couple years ago, we had the lamb fillet that you guys had brought over with you. Unbelievable! What do they feed on that makes them so luscious?
So the Icelandic lamb lives free. So they eat what the nature gives it. So grass, moss, berries, all of that. That gives it the good flavor.
Grass and berries.
And moss.
It's like pre-salé, like salted lamb in France. So the ocean is always close by. So everything they eat, it's full of like a little bit salt from the ocean. So that's also like part of the lamb, how good it is.
Right, like the ones from Normandy in that area of France.
Yeah. Same.
Lovely. And then skyr mousse with roasted oats, skyr ice cream, and Icelandic crowberries. Take us through that.
So yeah, like we talked about the skyr earlier, it's like a mix between a cheese and yogurt. It's I think we have eaten forever, kind of. That's made us stay alive. So we wanted to make it a little bit sweet and do a dessert out of it with the skyr ice cream, and with that the crowberries that grow wild in all of Iceland. So it's just a big tasting of Icelandic flavors.
Is it crowberry very tart and small, or is it like a blueberry?
So it's quite small and more tart.
It's similar to blueberry, a little bit smaller.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So it sounds
Then
more
we,
like a
pickle it.
huckleberry.
Huckleberry.
And when you do roasted oats, are you just toasting them in the oven, or is it mixed with sugar and becoming crusty and crisp?
We mix it with sugar and butter, and so it's crusty and sweet.
What are we going to drink with all this deliciousness? That's what I'm concerned about. Are we going to have a little Olafson martini to begin with, or what are we going to do?
That's a good question. I would say Olafson martini. That sounds good for me. Maybe 2 of them.
We'll have to get one of your hothouse olives to go with it.
I know one year, Victor, there's another liquor that Iceland is favorite for. I want to say it was a brown liquor.
Brennivin.
Yes.
What is it?
It's called Brennivin.
Oh, it's an aquavit, isn't it?
Could you describe it?
It's similar. It's like a cumin flavor
Yes.
alcohol.
Very exciting stuff.
I've had that.
When you come
It's
to
delicious.
Iceland next week, you will have a shot of Brennivin and a rotten shark.
Oh, we need to hear about the rotten shark.
Oh,
It's famous.
So, yeah, rotten shark. It's more like, I think today more like what people want to taste when they come to Iceland. It's not on my menu, at least not one time a year. Last time I tasted it with a friend from USA, so it's more like that. But also, of course, we have a lot of older people living in the fish village around Iceland who love it. It's not my kind of thing, like I said.
Is it rotten? Is it fermented?
It's fermented, and it smells like I can't say it.
Well, sharks, right there, they urinate through their skin, so that's why they well, they do. They well, that's just how they get rid of their whatever.
Yeah,
Like
I
urine,
think the
I
piece
think.
is like 10 grams or something of it.
Yeah.
The bite.
Really?
Well,
It's really small bites, and they smell like it's a whole whale. Whole shark.
Well, I'm glad you're not bringing that with you. We have plenty of lutefisk right here in Western Ballard, so we don't need any more smelly fish from that part of the world. Thank you for joining us. Again, Taste of Iceland is October 6th through the 9th. You can find out more about it, I'm sure, at tasteoficeland.com.
there's a beautiful website with all the activities.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Carlisle Room, KEXP, Bianco Gallery, Majestic Bay Theaters, the Nordic National Museum, Life on Mars, and 210 Seattle are all participating. When this first started 10 years ago or so, it was just us. It's nice to see the whole city is kind of getting on with
Yeah.
our sister city, Reykjavik.
And
Nice.
and the music thing has really captured a lot of people's attention. That's why KEXP is such an important partner, because there's that Icelandic genre of music has got a strong following.
I mean, it's not just Bjork.
There's
I was
more
just
to
going to
it.
say that. Yeah.
All right, Victor and Bjarke, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate having you here. Look forward to Taste of Iceland next week.
Thank you.
Hey,
Take care.
Take
Bye.
care. Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Well, that is how you do Zoom on the radio, sort of.
Perfect. No, it worked out great. Little freeze on the internet, but
Yeah.
no
So
problem.
all good fun. Sean, where do we stand? Yeah. Okay. I'll just close her up then.
Yes. Goodbye and thank you.
Sean Dottori, have fun with that segment, trying to put that back together. Sean is on the other side of
guy
this.
at the radio
Yeah.
station that gets this ready for the broadcast.
Thank you all for joining us today, especially our audience members. If you want to be part of our audience, go to hotstovesociety.com. You're listening to us on Cairo Radio. The show is produced by Pamela Hinckley. Sean McFadden is our technical director, and our editor is Sean. Please don't call me Del Torre. And remember, if you miss any episode of Hot Stove Society Show on Cairo, you can listen via podcast. Just subscribe with your favorite podcast app.
Perfect. Thank you, Tom. Great to be here.
Thanks you for having. Okay, Sean, fix this too. Thanks, Bridget Charters, for filling in for the chef and the chapeau.
Oh my God, it was my pleasure. Thanks, Pam. Thank you. Had fun.
All right, we're going to do our promos. Quiet on the set. This afternoon on the Hot Stove Society radio show, we talk about the taste of Iceland and its return to Seattle October 6th through 9th. Classic versus contemporary sauces. Do you love delicata squash? And of course, the New York Times is out with 24 recipes that do so much with so little. Good. Done.
Awesome. Thanks.